So in today's video we'll be looking at how to track clicks using Google Tag Manager. So firstly we'll just come in our Google Tag Manager interface. We'll go to tags. We'll create a new tag which will be GA4 event configuration. Tag will be our GA4 configuration. Event tag will be basic all clicks, since we are making it fire on all clicks. And triggering, so we'll create a new trigger and we'll select all elements, click all elements, and this trigger fires on all clicks. So we'll name this as generic all click trigger, right? Save, and we'll name this as GA for basic all click. Save. So we have successfully set up a click tracker which tracks all clicks made on a site. Now we'll we'll make one for a link tracker. So we'll go tag configuration again, GA4 event, same, name it as basic link tracking, basic all links, and configuration tag GA4 configuration trigger. Now we'll have to create another trigger which is a generic all link click trigger. We'll select just links, and I'll even show you the difference between the two. We'll set this on all link clicks and generic all link click. Save, and we'll again name the event as GA4 basic all link clicks. Save. So as you can see, I've created our two generic click and link click tracking events. Now we'll just see how these work. We'll go to preview to test them out. Now enter your URL, click connect. Suppose I'm clicking anywhere on the website, and if I come here, you can see that these clicks event have been registered. Now what's a link click? So suppose I have this button. It's a anchor tag here, right? Because if I click here, I'll be redirected to the about page, right? So it's an anchor tag. So if there are any of these buttons or links that I click on which will lead me to another page in the same website, they are known as link clicks. Like they come under link clicks trigger. So if I click about, for example, here I have clicked about, and if I go back, you can see I can find link click here. So the link click trigger has fired, right? And here all the basic clicks trigger are firing. So this was when to use click and when to use link click. Now we'll just see how to refine the click tracking for only certain clicks or certain links, right? If I just go back to my main page, and you might remember in the variables video I had created an event where, yeah, this event. So what it does is, if you go on the click triggers, yeah, this trigger fires on scroll depth threshold matches regex 90, which means once the user has scrolled down 90% of the website, and after that if the user makes any clicks on the link, only those clicks will be registered. Only those clicks match this condition, and that will make the tag fire. And similarly, if you want to set one up for link clicks, you can go here. Suppose I had clicked the link, right? I had clicked the about button. So if you go on the details here, see event matches this, trigger matches this, and that's why it was succeeded. Now if you were to go on variables here, you could find certain details about this event, right, which can help you to further refine your click tracking or link click tracking. So what are the different values we can find here? We can see there's form text which could be set to about, right. So let's just try it out. We'll go to Google Tag Manager, we'll create a new tag, GA4 event, in some link clicks, and we'll create a new trigger under which we'll go to just links, some link clicks. And what had we seen there? We had seen form text was about, alright. So form text contains about, and remember that this is case sensitive, so if the A is capital here, the A should be capital here as well. So we have set this. Now we'll name it about button only, and we'll name this, I guess, GA4 about button. Clicks, save. Now I'll just again go to preview. So firstly, for the click tracking, I'll scroll down for more than 90% of the page, and I'll just click a few times, and you can see the all click as well as this click event has fired, because the regex value matches 90, which means I had scrolled down 90% of the website. Now to test the link click, I'll go back here and I'll click about here. Okay, I've clicked about, and if I come back, check my link click, you can see that firstly the basic all link clicks is firing, and also the about button click, which we had created specifically for the about button by setting the form text value to about, right. Even that has fired because the condition is being satisfied. Now you might notice, if I just go back to my website now, you might notice that when I go to the about page, there are two contact us buttons. Now how would I track which button is being clicked? Because previously we saw for about page we had set a condition that form text must equal about, but if we do the same for this one, both the form text would be contact us. And if you go to find some other variables to segregate between these two, you might it might be so that you won't find any separate variables. So in those cases, what you can do is you can use a CSS selector, but there's a drawback of using a CSS selector. Suppose if the code of your page changes, the CSS code of your page changes in any way, this might break the tag. Also, you could uh, ask the developer to associate a certain click ID with the button. I'll show you what it is. To Google Manager preview. So I clicked about button, right, and in that variables, so you could ask the developer to set up a certain ID for the button. That's another way of doing it. Or one thing you could do is you could just simply track the total clicks for both of the buttons together. But again, if you specifically want to track them separately, what the CSS selector method, how to do that is, go to the button, right click on it, and so just click on inspect. This will lead you to this window where it will automatically be highlighted for you. You have to just right click on it again, go to copy and copy selector, right. Now if I were to go to Google Tag Manager, new app configuration, E4 event, first contact us, triggering new trigger, all elements, and in that we'll just select some clicks because we only want the tag to fire on some clicks, the clicks being the first contact us button. Here we'll select a click element and matches CSS selector, and then you'll paste the CSS selector that you had copied. You'll name this trigger, let's say we name it as first contact us button, save, and we'll just name this tag as GA for first contact us button, click, save. So you have created a tag which will fire only when the first contact us button is clicked. So let's test it out. We'll go to the preview mode now. Click connect. Now I'll quickly go to the about page. I'll click the contact us button. Then I'll go back and click the second contact us button now. Okay. Now let's just head to the summary and see what has happened here. And if you were to go to the about page and see the click here, and as you can see, the first time we were on the about page we had clicked the first contact us button, and that tag has fired because both the conditions are being satisfied, and the one we added as well matches CSS selector, even that's being satisfied. So that's why the first contact us button click fired here. But in the second time that we were on the about us page, we click the second button, right? If we go to click, the tag has not fired because the CSS selector doesn't match with the CSS selector of the second button, right? So this is how you use CSS selector to track any click, almost any click, right? As I said, there is a drawback that if the code changes, then it might break the tag, so be mindful of that. But yeah, this is how your CSS selector works. What we'll do is we'll go back to tag manager. If you were to go to triggering, now there's one difference between all element clicks and all link clicks, is that when you select some clicks here, there's no additional option here, right? But discard changes, if you were to go to just links, and you can see that there are certain options here. There's wait for tags and check validation as well. Now what wait for tags does is, if you suppose if you were on your page and if I were to click this button and the page loads, right? But what if the page loads but the tag doesn't have enough time to fire, you know? So what this slight delay does is, this delay of 2000 milliseconds or 2 seconds, what it does is it creates a wait time or a delay for the for in which the tags can fire before the page has loaded. So before my page loads, the tags will have that small window to fire. If they are taking some extra time, then they have that small window to fire, thereby ensuring that that the tags are successfully firing before the page loads. So that is just a simple explanation for this. And for check validation, now you might have gone on to sites where they have asked you to fill certain information in forms. Like suppose if they have asked you to fill your date of birth somewhere and you select a date which is in the future. Suppose they ask me to fill my date of birth and I select a date which has the year 2025. You know it's going to give me an error saying that date of birth cannot be in the future or something like that. So validation is the property that checks for these kinds of errors. Like when you check for these kinds of errors, it is called validation in simplest of terms. And again, if you were to go on a website, the main motive of the website is not to, not data collection or analytics. The main motive of the website is what the website is initially built for. So what this option does is it checks for validation. Now, if you were to say enter the date of birth of future and click submit, the form won't go ahead, right? It will be considered as an invalid click because the developer might have set in a code which will not allow it to go forward if there's any error in the form filling. So this will be considered as an invalid click. Now that is what this option does. It checks for those validations that if it is an invalid click, it will check for it. In most of the cases you won't need this, but still it's good to know about it. So yeah, this was pretty much all about tracking clicks in Google Tag Manager. We saw how to set up a generic link or click tracking, like which tracked all links and all clicks. Then we saw how to refine click tracking with like for us for a certain click only. Like we only wanted it for the about button first, so we set the name as about, the text as about, and then we saw how to use css selector to track any click. Like if we were on the website and there were two buttons, but we only wanted to the tag to fire on the first contact us button, so we saw how css selector could help in that. And then we saw the difference between click tracking and link tracking, like the different features it gives. Now let's see if the data is actually going to analytics or not. So we'll just go to preview again and let's connect, and we'll be able to see that our tag assistant is connected now. Suppose if I go to about page and click contact us here, and it's loading, it's gone to a new site. Now we can see that we have gotten the summary of our engagement in the Google Tag Manager, but is it actually going to analytics or not? So we'll just go to Google Analytics, and in that we'll go in debug view, and you can see that in real time all the engagements or all the activities are getting tracked here as well. So yeah, let's get back to Google Tag Manager. So yeah, that's all for the video. That's all for today's video. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.